Okay, everyone. In this next video, we're looking at again squares, but this time we are looking at difference of squares formula. So this is the formula. So this is looks like square of some number minus square root of another number is first number minus second number multiplied by first number plus second number. So when you're dealing with factoring difference of squares, you just use the formula, but you have to understand what is A and what is B. So that's what like your goal is. So let's go ahead and see if we can factor in this example, which is a difference of squares, 4x squared minus 25. So first you have to ask yourself, do I really have a difference? So this confirms that it's a difference, it's a minus, because, and that's going to be very important, and that you will be asked that. If somebody says, how about you factor something like this, 4x squared plus 25? Well, that is not a difference of squares, that's actually a sum of squares. And sum of squares is not factorable. You cannot factor sum of two squares because it's never going to be equal to 0, because you are adding two squares and each one is positive, so you're not going to get a possible 0, and I'll explain why later on. But right now all you got to do is, if you have a squared plus another squared, that is not factorable, cannot do that. But if you have a squared minus another square, then yes, that can be factored. How? Okay, so you're going to prepare, you're going to put parentheses, parentheses. One of them is going to be minus, one of them is going to be plus. It actually really doesn't matter which one is first, which one is second, because of commutative law. All you have to do is just figure out, okay, what are these two things, A and B? So you have to ask yourself, look at 4x squared. What is that a square of? Well, x is if you square x, that's x squared, so that's just going to be x here. But what about 4? 4 is square of what number? Well, I have that over here. 4 is squared of 2. Okay, so then that's going to be 2 right here. And by the way, over here will be the same thing. So it's just the first number minus second number multiplied by first number plus second number. All I've got to do is just figure out what's the second number. Well, 25. What is that a square of? Well, 25 is a squared of 5. So that's just going to be 5 over here, 5 over here. By the way, you should be able to check that using FOIL, because if you multiply first, so that would be 4x squared, then outer 2x times 5, that's 10x, minus inner, that would be 10x, and then last, negative 5 times 5, that's negative 25. What you will see is that this is just gonna cancel and you get back your original expression. Okay, so just one more example, if I can find something in Desmos there that we can practice. Now here, for example, it says factor x squared plus 121. This is sum of squares. The answer is you cannot do that. Okay, so let's just do one more question where it's a difference of squares. So sum of squares cannot be factored. If you have a plus in between, not gonna work. Okay, but here we have a minus, so we're good, we can factor it. Okay, how do we do that? Well, because it's a difference of squares, it's a minus, we're gonna prepare ourselves here. So this will be a minus, this will be a plus. So I just have to figure out what to put, right? So first, x squared is square of what? Well, that would be x, right? 196 is square of what? Well, our magic table, let's find 196 is a square of 14. So that 14 will be right here. Okay, so then this is going to be the same thing, 14x over here. Now let's look at the second term. So a little bit of a difference, because the second term also has a variable, and y squared is square of what? Well, of y. So this will be a y, this will be a y. And we still also have to figure out 9. 9 is a square of what? Well, 9 is a square of 3. So this would be 3 and this would be 3. And that's, I'm done. If I want to, I can check it using FOIL, and I will get the correct answer. So it'll be 196x squared. This will be plus something, this will be minus something, that something will cancel, and then you've got negative 9y squared. So that's it as far as difference of squares. Just be careful because, and you should have this on your note cards, anytime you see something like this where it's sum of two perfect squares, this is not factorable. Not factorable. Cannot do that. It doesn't work. Some people think that you can just do this, and that's a very common mistake. If I had to, like, if you ask me, like, what is the most like favorite mistake of most people when they do algebra, that would be this right here. So this is actually not true. That does not work. And the reason why that doesn't work is because when you multiply a plus b times a plus b and you start using your FOIL, you will see that you're actually not going to get this. You're going to get something completely different. Well, not completely, but you're going to have like this extra term that's there. But another thing that you could ask yourself is this: well, if I think this is true, why don't I do something like this? Like, is 1 squared plus 2 squared, is that equal to 1 plus 2 squared, the whole thing? So is that the same? Then sure. Okay, well, 1 squared is 1 plus 4. That's 5, actually. And is that equal to 1 plus 2, which is 3 squared, 9? No, it doesn't. So whenever you have a plus, cannot factor. But if you have a minus and there are two squares, then yes, you can use the formula, which is just a minus b, a plus b.